Hello all, welcome to Reflections IAS Academy and welcome to Integrated Current Affairs Program for UPSC and TSPSC Prelims. We have started with the current affairs related to Indian polity and governance. This is the fourth session of current affairs related to Indian polity and governance. And this current affairs program is integrated program. It is absolutely useful for both your UPSC prelims examination as well as TSPSC Group 1 prelims examination. Let's start with the first question of the day. The first question is, consider the following statements regarding the appropriation bill. First statement, it empowers the government to withdraw funds from the contingency fund of India. Second statement, it is prerogative of the Lok Sabha to either accept or reject the recommendations made by the Rajya Sabha regarding the bill. Third statement, it is classified as money bill and do not require the explicit consent of the Rajya Sabha. Fourth statement, the defeat of an appropriation bill in the parliamentary vote would lead to the resignation of the government or a general election. So you have to choose the statement which is or correct. You have to choose the correct statements regarding the appropriation bill. So let's see what is this appropriation bill. As you already know, in Indian polity and governance, the parliament chapter is extremely important, and regarding the the union budget or the annual financial statement, appropriation bill, vote on account, interim budget, consolidated fund of India, contingency fund of India, all these things are extremely important for your Indian polity. So let's see about this appropriation bill. Appropriation bill ante enti ante, this bill, it gives the power to government to withdraw the funds from the consolidated fund of India. Consolidated fund of India. Why? ఎందుకు అంటే యాన్యువల్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్స్, ఆ ఇయర్ యొక్క ఎక్స్పెండిచర్స్ మీట్ కావడానికి the government is empowered to withdraw funds from the consolidated fund of India. But in the statement, in the question, the statement is, it empowers the government to withdraw funds from contingency fund of India ani undi. So you have to be very careful while reading in between the lines during the examination. The word contingency fund, ఒకటే ఒక word వల్ల this whole statement became a wrong statement. It's not contingency fund, rather it is consolidated fund of India. And second thing, an appropriation bill, this is the power of the government to withdraw money from the consolidated fund of India. This is been mentioned in the Constitution of India under which article? Under Article 114. Article 114 of the Constitution of India empowers the government can withdraw money from the consolidated fund of India, and that too only after receiving the approval of the Parliament of India. So regarding this appropriation bill, and the amount withdrawn is used for what? To meet the current expenditure during that financial year. So Parliament approval తో మాత్రమే, అప్రూవల్ అయిన తర్వాత మాత్రమే మనీ విత్డ్రా చేసుకోవచ్చు అని చెప్పి ఆర్టికల్ 114 అనేది చెప్తుంది కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో. సో దీనికి ప్రొసీజర్ ఏంటి? ఫస్ట్ ఏం చేస్తారు అంటే, ద అప్రోప్రియేషన్ బిల్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ ఇన్ ద లోక్ సభ, ద హౌస్ ఆఫ్ కామన్స్, and when after the discussions on budget proposals and voting on demand for grants. So after this, if at all this bill is defeated in the Lok Sabha, the defeat of an appropriation bill in a parliamentary vote, this will lead to what? Resignation of the present government at that time, or it might invite a general election also. So appropriation bill must be passed by the Parliament of India in order to empower the government to withdraw funds from the consolidated of India. ఒకవేళ ఈ బిల్ పాస్ కాకపోయినా లేదా బిల్ ఓటింగ్ వల్ల డిఫీట్ అయినా, the government has to resign from its power. So once ఒకసారి లోక్ సభలో ఫస్ట్ పాస్ చేసిన తర్వాత, then it is sent to రాజ్యసభ, and రాజ్యసభ it has the power to recommend any amendments. Only the power to recommend any amendments in this bill. But, however, Rajya Sabha ko amend chese power unnapatiki kuda, the power of Lok Sabha is ultimate here. It overrides the power of Rajya Sabha in this particular matter. So it is prerogative for the Lok Sabha to either accept, it can either accept or it can conveniently reject also, reject the recommendations made by the Rajya Sabha also. So here, regarding the appropriation bill, Lok Sabha has got more powers compared to Rajya Sabha. And after once the bill receives the assent of the president, this bill becomes, appropriation bill becomes the Appropriation Act. And important point to note here is, the government cannot withdraw money from consolidated fund of India till the enactment of the appropriation bill. Okay? కానీ ఈ అప్రోప్రియేషన్ బిల్ యాక్ట్ కావడానికి టైం పడుతుంది కాబట్టి ఈ మీన్ వైల్లో what the government can do. So that is also been given by the constitution, that since it takes time and the government needs money to carry on its normal activities kada, so to meet the immediate expenditures, the constitution has authorized which house, the Lok Sabha to make any grant in advance for a particular part of that financial year. So this provision is known as vote on account. Extremely important terms, all these are: vote on account, interim budget, and appropriation bill. So I hope you understood all these terms. And this vote on account is defined in Article 116 of the Indian Constitution. So ikkada important article, student, mere Constitution of India lo Article 112, it mentions about annual financial statement, that is commonly known as the budget. And Article 114, it contains provisions regarding what? The appropriation bill. And now the Article 116, it contains provisions, it contains information related to the vote on account in the Indian Constitution. So, annual financial statement is very much mentioned in the Constitution, but the term budget is not mentioned in the Constitution. Appropriation bill is very much mentioned in the Constitution of India. Vote on account is also very much mentioned about in the Constitution of India. And what is the difference between appropriation bill and finance bill? One more interesting point to note here is, finance bill, it contains provisions on financing the expenditure of the government. ఏవైతే గవర్నమెంట్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్కి సంబంధించి ఫినాన్సింగ్ ప్రొవిజన్స్ ఉన్నాయో, ఇట్ కంటైన్స్ దీస్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ద ఫినాన్స్ బిల్. వెరాజ్ అప్రోప్రియేషన్ బిల్ ఏంటి అంటే, అప్రోప్రియేషన్ బిల్ ఇట్ స్పెసిఫైస్ ద quantum and purpose for withdrawing money. Finance bill is just concerned with the provisions, whereas the appropriation bill, it mentions the purpose. It has information regarding the purpose of spending the money or withdrawing the money from the consolidated fund of India. And one more point is, both appropriation bill and finance bill, both are classified as money bills. So if you are getting a statement, appropriation bills are money bills, whereas finance bills are not money bills, or vice versa, that statement is wrong, because both finance bills and appropriation bills are money bills, and they do not require the explicit consent of the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha can only discuss about this. Okay, so this is about this finance bill and the appropriation bill and its act. So coming back to the question, first question we have seen that, first statement we have seen that it is wrong statement because of the word contingency. Second, it is correct because we have just now seen that Rajya Sabha can either accept or even reject the recommendations made by Lok Sabha can either accept or even reject the recommendations made by the Rajya Sabha. And it is classified as money bill and do not require the explicit consent of Rajya Sabha. Just now we have seen this. This is also right statement. The defeat of appropriation bill in the parliamentary vote would lead to the resignation of a government or a general election. This also we have seen. So this is also absolutely right. So here the correct statements are 2, 3 and 4. First statement is wrong. All the other statements are right about this appropriation bill. And why it was in the news? Why are we discussing about this appropriation bill in the current affairs is recently the Union Finance Minister of India has moved the appropriation bills number 5 and number 4 in the Rajya Sabha. And this bill authorized the payment and appropriation of certain further sums from which fund of India? The Consolidated Fund of India for the services of the financial year of 2022-23 for consideration and return. So this is about annual financial statement, appropriation bill, appropriation act, vote on account, interim budget, finance bills, money bills, and the powers of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha regarding this. Next question, second question of this session is, recently the Tribal Development Report 2022. So reports and indices are extremely important for UPSC and any other state civil services examination, the TSPSC also. So that's why I have given a question on this. Recently, the Tribal Development Report 2022 was launched by Bharat Rural Livelihood Foundation, which claims to be the first of its kind since 1947. Okay. So which of the following is not correct regarding this report? You have to identify the statement which is not correct regarding this Tribal Development Report of 2022. A statement says that India's tribal communities form 8.6% of the country's population according to the which census? 2011 census. But they are at the bottom of country's development pyramid even 75 years after independence. This is the first statement. This is fair enough, correct statement. B, statement number B, option B, Central India is home to 80% of the tribal communities in the country. Important point to note here is Central India is home to 80% of the tribal communities of this country. It is not Eastern India or Northeastern India. If you are getting an option that Eastern India or Northeastern India is home to 80% of tribal communities, that statement would have been wrong. But here, since it is mentioned Central India, that's why this statement is correct. And of the 257 scheduled tribe districts, 230, that is 90% are either forested or hilly or dry, but they account for 80% of India's tribal population. Once again, right statement. Option number D is the BRLF, that is the Bharat Rural Livelihood Foundation, was set up by the Union Cabinet in 2013 as an independent society under the Union Ministry of Tribal Affairs to scale up civil society action in partnership with central and state governments. Here the whole statement is correct except for one, just 2 or 3 words, that is the Union Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Because of this Union Ministry of Tribal Affairs, this whole statement, this whole option became wrong, because this BRLF was set up under which ministry? It is not Ministry of Tribal Affairs, it is the Ministry of Rural Development. So that's why D is the correct answer for this question. So let's see about what is this Tribal Development Report. It was in the news because recently Tribal Development Report 2022 was launched by BRLF or Bharat. You might get a straight question also sometimes, who releases this Tribal Development Report 2022, especially in your TSPSC or state services, you might get direct questions also. So this BRLF, it claims that this is the first of its kind report since independence of India, and BRLF was set up by Union Cabinet in 2013. This is correct, but the ministry is not the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. The examiner wants to confuse you by tricking that since this report is related to the tribals, this ministry also might be, will be related to tribals. You might think like this, but this is not tribal affairs. This is the Union Ministry of Rural Development, that is to scale up civil society action in partnership with the central and state governments. And what are the findings of this report? According to this, the tribal population, as we have seen in the options of the question, all those are correct. That is, according to 2011 census, 8.6% is the population of the tribals in India, and 80% are located in the central India, that is Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Maharashtra, etc. And of the 257 scheduled tribes districts, 230, that is 90% or either forested or hilly, that was also mentioned in the options of our question. And tribals are the most deprived, that is Adivasis are the most deprived, either it be sanitation, education, nutrition, access to drinking water, despite of 70 years of the independence. And the Adivasis are the most deprived sections. All these things are mentioned in the tribal development report of 2022. So this is about the second question and its answer. Extremely important reports and indices. Make a note of this. Third question is regarding cooperative societies. With reference to cooperative societies, consider the following statements. First one, the right to form cooperative societies was included as right to freedom under Article 19, Clause 1 through 96th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2010. Second statement, promotion of cooperative societies was inserted as one of the directive principles of state policy under Article 43B through 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011. So cooperative societies in our Indian polity is extremely important. Already there were questions in the UPSC Civil Services Preliminary Examination. You might expect the same in the State Civil Services Examinations also. So that's why I have given this question. And so you have to pick up the statement which is correct. So let's see about these cooperative societies. Cooperative societies are nothing but these are the organizations which are set up at the grassroots levels, the ground levels or the grassroots levels or the village levels by the people. Why? In order to harness the power of collective bargaining in the marketplace. Collective bargaining for the local, the grassroots level people at a common marketplace. దీని కోసం, దీని purpose కి, ఇదే purpose కోసం cooperative societies అనేవి సెటప్ చేయబడ్డాయి. So this can mean different kinds of arrangements. Arrangements అంటే ఏమైనా కావచ్చు. Like, using a common resource or sharing capital to derive a common gain that would otherwise be difficult for an individual producer to get, etc. And in agriculture, cooperative dairies, sugar mills, spinning mills, etc. All these things they come under cooperative societies. Popularly, Amul dairy farms, they come under the cooperative societies. And these cooperative societies, important point to note here is extremely important. These are the matter under the state subject of Indian Constitution, not the union list or concurrent list. They come under the state list, cooperative societies. Okay, they fall entirely under the jurisdiction of the state governments. And these cooperative societies were set up by the Indian Constitution by adding a new part called Part 9B in the Indian Constitution and by making an amendment to the Constitution via 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011. So under this 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011, two provisions were made. That is, the right to form cooperative societies was included as right to freedom under Article 19, Clause 1, and promotion of cooperative societies was also inserted as one of the directive principles of state policy under Article 43B of the Indian Constitution. But see, coming back to our question, it is given the right to form cooperative societies, etc. All this is the correct statement. It is wrong. It became wrong because it is given 96th Constitutional Amendment Act. It is wrong because it is not 96th. It is 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011. So you have to be very cautious while reading the numbers, years, etc. also in the options. And second statement is pretty much fair enough and correct statement. Just now we have seen that the cooperative societies were inserted as one of the directive principles also under Article 43B of the Indian Constitution. So kindly revise all the DPSPs and fundamental rights after seeing this question. So why was this in the news? Why did I give it in the current affairs? Is recently responding to the demands of the opposition, Lok Sabha has referred the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Bill 2022 to a joint committee of Parliament. That's why this was in the news, and that is the reason why we discussed this in the current affairs. Next question. Which of the following statements is are true about Competition Commission of India, CCI? This is an easy question, fairly easy. Options are framed very easily, but you have to know about this body called the Competition Commission of India. That is the reason why I gave this question. So CCI is it a constitutional body? No, it is not a constitutional body. It is a statutory body. It is formed by an act of parliament. Which act of the parliament? That is the Competition Act of 2002. If at all in the options, if some other year is given like 2005 or 2000 or something, then it would have become wrong. It is given 2002. That's why this is right statement. The CCI or the Competition Commission of India is responsible for promoting and regulating competition in the Indian market. This is also fair enough statement. Option C, the CCI has power to impose fines and penalties on companies found to be engaging in anti-competitive practices. So competition, the theme of this is competition is healthy. Competition should be healthy. Anti-competitive practices will be penalized. Penalized by whom, what, which organization or which body? That is the Competition Commission of India. This has been already asked in UPSC Civil Services preliminary examination. So that's why I just try to give a question on this so that you will revise the important things. So Competition Commission of India is a statutory body formed by an act of parliament, by which act? Competition Act of 2002, and it was constituted in which year? 2009, March 2009. And the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act of 1969 was repealed and replaced by which act? Competition Act of 2002. And this CCI was formed based upon the recommendations of which committee? The Raghavan Committee. Composition, it consists of one chairperson and 6 other members who shall be appointed by whom? The central government. And this is also a quasi-judicial body, the Competition Commission of India, and it gives opinions to statutory authorities and also deals with other cases. And the chairperson and other members shall be whole-time members. So this was in the news because recently Finance Minister participated in the 13th Annual Day commemoration of the what? The Competition Commission of India. This is about the fourth question. Moving on to the fifth question. Which of the following statements regarding CIC or Central Information Commission is correct? You have to pick up the correct statement regarding the CIC. First statement, first option, the CIC is a constitutional body and was established under the provisions of Right to Information Act of 2005. So ఈ క్వశ్చన్స్ చూసాక మీకు ఏమర్థమవుతుంది? యూ హ్యావ్ టు క్లియర్లీ నో ఫ్రమ్ ఇండియన్ పాలిటీ, యూ హ్యావ్ టు క్లియర్లీ నో what all bodies are constitutional bodies, which are autonomous bodies, which are statutory bodies, okay, which are quasi-judicial bodies, etc. You have to know very clearly about the government organizations and bodies, whether they are constitutional or extra constitutional bodies. So first statement, it is fair enough, it is correct, it is a constitutional body and it was sorry, first statement is wrong because it is not a constitutional body. That's why I have given this option. It is not a constitutional body. It is established under the Right to Information Act of 2005. So that's why this is a statutory body. So first statement is wrong. Second, the CIC is headed by Chief Information Commissioner, who is appointed by the Prime Minister of India. Is he appointed by the Prime Minister of India, CIC? No, because CIC, the Chief Information Commissioner, is rather appointed by the President of India, not the Prime Minister of India. So that's why option B is also incorrect. And CIC has the power to impose penalties on public authorities that have violated the provisions of the RTI or the Right to Information Act. Is this correct? This is correct statement. It obviously has power to impose the penalties on those who violated the Right to Information Act provisions. And CIC is responsible for investigating corruption cases against the public officials. Underline the word investigating here. CIC cannot investigate. CIC cannot investigate on, the cases against the corruption cases against the public officials. That's why this is also a wrong statement. So the jurisdiction of CIC is the jurisdiction of the commission. It extends over all central public authorities, but it cannot investigate upon the corruption cases against public officials. It can only penalize or impose penalties on public authorities who violate the provisions given under the Right to Information Act of 2005. So that sharp differentiation you have to know regarding the powers and jurisdiction of the CIC. And tenure of the Chief Information Commissioner, he or she can hold the office till 65 years of age, whichever is earlier, and the term is prescribed by the central government. The term is prescribed by the central government, and they are not eligible for reappointment. Other powers and functions: to receive and inquire into complaint from any person regarding information requested under RTI. It can order or an inquiry into a matter if there are reasonable grounds. That is, suo motu power also it has. And while inquiring, the commission has the powers of a civil court also in respect of summoning, requiring documents, etc. But it does not have the power to investigate corruption cases against the public official. So hence the correct answer for this question is option number C. So why it was in the news? Because recently Supreme Court has directed the Union of India and all the states to file status reports to the latest developments regarding vacancies and pendency in the Central Information Commission and also the State Information Commission. Central Information Commission, similar to this State Information Commission, is also there, and the State Information Commissioner is appointed by the Governor of the state, whereas the Central Information Commissioner is appointed by the President of India. So this is regarding the fifth question. Moving on to the sixth question. With reference to the World Press Freedom Index 2022, consider the following. As we have seen, the indices and reports are extremely important for the examination. So let's see about this World Press Freedom Index 2022 report. India was ranked 130 among 180 countries. Is it? The theme for 2022 was journalism under digital siege. Is it? Is it correct? Sri Lanka, third one, Sri Lanka was ranked better than India. Is it right? Afghanistan remained at the bottom of the list of 180 countries. So these are the statements you have to pick up which is not correct. Not correct. So let's see about this World Press Freedom Index. This was in the news because recently the World Press Freedom Day was celebrated on 3rd of May 2022, and this 20th edition of World Press Freedom Index was published by whom? World Press Freedom is published by Reporters Without Borders, or RSF. Already this question was given in UPSC prelims examination, and in this index India was ranked 150th among the 180 countries. So after seeing this, the first statement of this question is what? Is it correct or wrong? First statement is wrong because the rank of India was not 130th, it is what? 150th rank. And it is been published every year since 2002 by the Reporters Without Borders or Reporters Sans Frontiers. This is the information regarding this Reporters Without Borders. You can read it later on. And this index ranks the countries and regions according to what? The level of freedom available to journalists. This is not an indicator of the quality of journalism, but it is the indicator of only the level of freedom which is available to the journalists to question the authorities. So what is the scoring criteria of this? This is based upon a scoring range which ranges from 0 to 100, and 100 is the best possible score, 0 is the least or worst score. So ranking of countries, top and worst performers: Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Estonia, Finland, they grabbed the top positions. And North Korea, it has remained at the bottom of the list of this 180 countries. And India's rank was how much? 150th. And in Asia, Nepal has improved its ranking by 76th position, Pakistan 157th position, and Sri Lanka's rank is 146th. So that's why the option given here, Sri Lanka was ranked better than India. Is it correct? Absolutely correct statement. And which country was ranked at the bottom? It is not Afghanistan. It is what? North Korea. So this is also wrong statement. First is wrong and fourth is wrong. Third statement, Sri Lanka was ranked better. This is right. And the theme is indeed journalism under digital siege. This is also right. So first and fourth are wrong. The remaining statements are correct regarding this World Press Freedom Index of 2022, which is published by the Reporters Without Borders. Seventh question, this is regarding a government scheme. With reference to Kanya Shiksha Pravesh Utsav scheme. Kanya Shiksha Pravesh Utsav scheme, consider the following. The Government of India has launched the scheme in March 2022 under Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme to ensure that all out-of-school adolescent girls in the age group of 11 to 14 years are enrolled back to formal schooling. Fair enough. Second, it is a joint initiative of the Ministry of Women and Child Development and Ministry of Education. This is also correct. It is an easy question, but I had given this question for your information regarding this scheme, which is extremely important. So, which of the statement is are not correct? Neither one nor two are not correct because both are correct for this question. So, let's see about this scheme. Recently, the Union government, it has launched the scheme or a nationwide campaign called Kanya Shiksha Pravesh Utsav on the eve of International Women's Day on 8th March 2022. And the main aim of this campaign or scheme is to what? To bring back the adolescent girls into the mainstream education system. Of which age group? 11 to 14 years. And its aim is to work on a complete system for out of school girls by building on the existing schemes or programs like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, adolescent schemes for adolescent girls, SAG program, and national education policy, etc. And the implementing agencies for this scheme are two ministries, a joint collaboration of Ministry of Women and Child Development along with the Ministry of Education. If at all any other ministries are given, that statement will be wrong. So this focuses on convergence and coordination between ministries, departments and states. So this is about this question. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following statement is true regarding Export Preparedness Index? There is an index called Export Preparedness Index. Regarding that, the options are: the EPI measures the performance of Indian states in promoting exports and provide insights to policymakers for improving the export ecosystem. The EPI is a global index that ranks countries based upon their export readiness and competitiveness. EPI evaluates the effectiveness of trade policies and tariff structures of different countries to encourage foreign investment. EPI measures the volume and value of exports of a country, taking into account the types of goods and services exported. So let's see why this is in the news. This was in the news because Gujarat has once again topped the Export Preparedness Index of India for a second time in a row. And this Export Preparedness Index is released by, it is not released by any international organization. It is released by our own India's think tank, that is Niti Aayog. So that's why the second statement here, it is a global index. This is wrong statement because it is mentioned that this is a global index. Next, after Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu are the better performers in this Export Preparedness Index. And this Export Preparedness Index, it identifies the challenges, opportunities, enhances the effectiveness of government policies, encourages facilitative regulatory framework for export. And it has got 4 pillars, 11 sub-pillars and 60 indicators. and covers all the 28 states and across 28 states and 8 union territories. So for this, the first statement, the first option is fair enough and extremely correct. So that's why answer is A, because EPI, in fact, it measures the performance of Indian states in promoting the exports and provides insight to the policymakers for improving the export ecosystem. Second statement is wrong. Second option is wrong because it is not a global index. It is published by our own India's Niti Aayog. And third one, it is wrong because it does not evaluate any effectiveness of trade policies, or it is not concerned with any tariff structures. So this is also wrong. Fourth is wrong because once again, EPI does not measure any volume or value of exports of a country or etc. So that's why this is a wrong statement. Hence, the correct answer for this question is option A. Moving on to the next question, consider the following regarding Democracy Report 2022 or VDEM. Once again, the reports and indices important for the examination. The first statement, in South Asia, India is ranked below Sri Lanka, Nepal and Bhutan and above Pakistan in the Liberal Democracy Index. Second statement, Norway was ranked 1 or the first in the index. First statement, it is a fairly correct statement, whereas second is wrong because this Norway was not ranked the first in the index. Sweden was ranked first in the index. That's why only second statement is only first statement is correct for this question. Hence, the correct answer is 1 only. So let's see about this index. According to the latest report from VDEM Institute, there is an institute called V Democracy Institute at Sweden's University of Gothenburg. And according to this, the level of democracy enjoyed by average global citizens in 2021, it has gone down to the 1989 levels. That means during 1989 it was better. The level of democracy was better. This report is saying that it was better in 1989 and it has come down drastically in 2021. So with the democratic gains of post-Cold War period eroding rapidly in the last few years. So this report, the title or theme of this report, Democracy Report 2022 was Autocratization Changing Nature. Autocratization Changing Nature is the theme. In the State Civil Services examination, you might directly expect the questions on themes. So this particular report, Democracy Report, it classifies the countries according to 4 regime types. That is the liberal democracy, electoral democracy, electoral autocracy, and closed autocracy. So according to this index, Sweden has topped, followed by other Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Norway, Costa Rica, New Zealand, etc. And coming to India's performance, which is important for us, is India is a part of broader global trend of anti-plural political party driving a country's autocratization. It was ranked 93rd. India's rank was 93rd in the Liberal Democracy Index, and India figures in the bottom 50% of the countries according to this index. And in South Asia, India is ranked below Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan and above Pakistan in the Liberal Democracy Index. So that's why first statement is correct and second statement is wrong for this particular question. So this is about Democracy Index, the Liberal Democracy Index, autocratization, etc. 10th question. This is a simple question. Which of the following is not within the purview of the CAG or the Comptroller and Auditor General of India? First is the audit of accounts of union government and state governments. This is there. Audit of accounts of public sector undertakings, statutory corporations, there. Audit of the accounts of cooperative societies and local bodies also. It is also there. Audit of accounts of private companies and NGOs or non-governmental organizations. This is not there within the purview of the CAG or Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The purpose of giving this question is some people might get confused regarding the Panchayati Raj and local bodies. The Panchayati Raj and local bodies, whether they are included under the purview of the CAG or no. Absolutely included. and there was this matter was in the news also recently. See, because CAG is planning to expand its presence up to the district level to exercise the audit control over the 3-tier Panchayati Raj institution, and PRIs, they very much come under the purview of audit under CAG or Comptroller and Auditor General's duties, powers and conditions of service act of 1971. According to this act, PRIs also come under the purview of the audit of CAG. And the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, as you know, is responsible for auditing the accounts of union government, state government, public sector undertakings, etc. And you should also know about the terms of service, conditions, who appoints the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, what are his or her powers, what are the grounds on which CAG can be removed, what is the duration of service, what is the retirement age, what are the perks available to the CAG, etc. And what are the articles in the Indian Constitution which deal with the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. This question I had given you for your revision on the CAG. So this is about today's session. So thank you so much. We will meet in the next session with more and more current affairs related to Indian polity and governance. Have a good time. Thank you.